Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB post-game show here after a 37-17 Eagles win. They moved to 5-2 on the season, and who's counting? But that's 3 straight wins for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm your host, Xander Kraus, joined by Dan Sileo and John McMullen here on the post-game show. Guys, that's 3 straight wins, as I just mentioned. Is this team starting to show you get back to that Super Bowl, dare I say it, Super Bowl contender type of form? I don't think they're there yet, but I think they continue to lay building blocks. I think they continue to build. We talked a lot about the defense in the opening segment, how much better they're looking. They're on a little bit of a run after starting pretty slow in the year. John, I'll come to you first. Are they starting to get back to that Super Bowl contender form, in your opinion?
They're getting closer, but, right now I think Detroit is head and shoulders above everybody else. And they, as I mentioned, they only put up a 52 spots today against a bad team, Tennessee, but they do it against good teams, bad teams. Had another 70-yard touchdown run from Gibbs. They're so explosive. They can do it anyway, sort of like what the Eagles want to be. And they have the physical offensive line. So Nick Sirianni talking about the physicality. They to me are head and shoulders above everybody else, not only in the NFC, but the NFL. And then the Eagles are, when they play their best, like they did today, they can beat anybody. Ironically, would I pick Green Bay to beat them today? They beat Green Bay. Yes, I would. That'd be the only other team where I would say, then the Eagles are in it with anybody. San Francisco, I put off to the side. Bad start, but they're going to get Christian McCaffrey back. They could take off, but yeah, the Eagles are in the mix, but Detroit is out. For me, they're way ahead of the pack.
Big Sills, coming to you. Eagles Super Bowl contenders, maybe not yet, but they're getting closer. What say you, Big Sills? I see you chuckling over there. I see you laughing in all your glory. Is it tough to face the fire today,
No,
Big
it's
Sills?
because you're in the same position you were a year ago. Last year, you were 6-1. Now you're 5-2. And it resulted in horseshit last year. To me, I don't really look at one-loss records. I look at how you're playing and opponent, if you're getting better or not. Nobody looked at what Kansas City was doing record-wise at the beginning of the year last year. They were looking on how if that team was going to gather steam in November and December, getting ready for the postseason.
Well, they're gathering steam.
No. I think there's trends that you're starting to see, John. Yeah. The record means
getting better.
The record means shit to me right now because
I don't care.
The record didn't mean shit last year when you got out to that great start. So at the end of the day, are they getting better? The side of the ball that John said that you know what? I killed someone on my show, Xander, where I said, "Hey, Sills, the defense is ahead of schedule." I'm starting to go there, and I'm starting to see ahead of schedule stuff here. The offense, to me, again, they've gone back to doing what Jalen does. I saw a lot more design runs in the last 3 weeks than I have seen last year, especially in the second half of the season. What did Wink Martindale say? We knew you were no threat to run. That was one of the things and takeaways that Jalen had from that conversation when Wink was the defensive coordinator of the Giants. He said, we knew you didn't have a threat. I'll say it again. If you're Lou and you're in that game and you're watching Jalen Hurts and you're watching some of those design plays, dude, his legs today helped set up like it did in 22, some of those really nice throws. I thought the throw down the sidelines to AJ was absolutely fabulous. It was a great throw, but we saw those kind of throws in 22 because of him coming off that run attack here. Now look at this here too, man. He had in the last 2 weeks, and John's right. Some of them are kneel downs, tush push, what have you. He's got 24 carries. Now you're starting as a defensive coordinator to have to start to do like this. This guy's getting quality carries now, and they're doing quality run designs for him in this offense. And Kellen and him are now starting to get a rhythm going. Remember what he says all the time, John? I want to get a rhythm and I want to have a clean operation. That's what you're seeing. And to me, that's what's helping. That's what's helping the way that they're looking, especially with the lack of turnovers that you're not seeing in the game. I think it's very effective. And I think right now, I've always said this, John, Jalen Hurts, if you're going to tell me that that's the quarterback that you're coaching and that's what you're doing in 22, I'm a believer in him. If you want to start doing what you've done for the last year and a half with him by dropping him back 37 times, he is not that guy. That guy that you saw against Cleveland and that guy what you saw today, that guy can get you to an NFC championship.
Yeah, but here's it's interesting you use that number 37 because that's how many throws Joe Burrow had today. Like
Joe Burrow's a pocket passer.
Yeah, but but they weren't successful. And I think we all agree, as we said on the pregame show, we all agree that Joe Burrow's one of the true elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
No
I
doubt
think
about
we all
that.
agree with that.
No doubt.
Completely.
The point is, nobody in the history of the game, from Tom Brady on down, whoever you like, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, can consistently drop back and throw it 40 times with no running game. Like, I don't get the mentality of, like, people attack me all the time when I say they need to go where they want to go. They need to be pass driven. They need to pass to take the lead, run to close the game. And they assume, oh, that means don't run the ball. No, it's baked in. You need an effective running game. Effective. And that helps everybody from Tom Brady on down.
To Burrow, too. It hurt him.
Everybody. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can go all the way up. You saw it today. Joe Burrow's.
Sidney Brown's brother wasn't too good today.
No, Joe Burrow's still great. He had no running game. He's got no running game. He hasn't had a running game all year. So it makes it more difficult. But if you have no running game and Joe Burrow has no running game,
yeah,
Joe's probably going to win the game.
Absolutely.
Because he's capable of making up for more than the average quarterback. That's what I'm trying to say. But from the Eagles standpoint, like, believe me, they're looking at Detroit and saying, how the fuck are we going to beat Detroit? That's where you want to go. Now, Detroit they didn't throw the ball at all today, but they threw it effectively because, everything's wide open. But then you see Jared Goff go off and, have more touchdowns than incompletions over a 5-week span.
Insane.
They can do it every different way. But to deal with a team like that, you got to get on this team, you got to get AJ and Devontae going. And they got AJ and Devontae going today in the third quarter specifically.
Did they show
dominated
you today,
game.
John, specific steps toward what the identity
the
or whatever
third
you want to
quarter
call it,
is exactly what that's
right.
Exactly what they want to be. The third quarter of today's game. Exactly what they want to be. I don't use the term identity. That's how they want to play. And they want to play, they want to dominate and get the lead and then have Saquon close it out. And exactly blueprint of what happened today. And it was beautiful.
Hey, John, you imagine when you get Mulata and Becton back too, and you put them horses back in the stable again with the rest of those guys, what that thing could look like as you get closer to November and December. You get those guys back. That's going to be like signing a free agent, Xander. You're right now what you're doing with these guys like Fred Johnson and with Tyler Steen, you're building depth in the O-line, and you're creating the depth that Howie doesn't have to go when it comes to the trading deadline to get another offensive lineman, because he's going to get Becton and Mulata back, and you've got significant playing time. And as John pointed out, Trey Hendrickson he had a goose egg today. He shut him out. I mean, so he went against Brian Burns and Trey Hendrickson in the last 2 weeks. That's how you build equity in your offensive line. That is enormous when it comes to building depth in a group that you need the most your offensive line, especially, Xander, if you want to have that run game that John's talking about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sills, there's something you said when I asked you the question about whether they're getting closer to Super Bowl contenders. And I don't want to say I'm pushing back on you because I'm not, but I want you to extrapolate on this. You talk, and I appreciate your point about who cares about the record, right? I mean, they could collapse at any moment. But the things you said that you'd like to see, in my opinion, the Eagles are doing that. You said, how are they playing? Are they starting to play complementary football? Those things, to me, at least in my view, from how I see the game, are starting to come to fruition. I think you're have a more balanced attack. There's more complementary football. Young players on defense are stepping up. Jalen Hurts is finding some rhythm. 3 straight games, no turnovers. Saquon Barkley's running the ball well. I see the things that are telling me this team is getting closer to that Super Bowl contender form. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I think the last 12 quarters have started to show that. There's no question. We're talking 12 quarters.
Yeah. Got to be more. Quarters. I agree. But
okay. And for me, it's when we talk the way we're talking, you don't talk about championship football teams like that from where you were, where you're going, and you're looking at new signs and you're looking at consistency. Detroit, as John said, has been consistent all year. They've been playing that way, even in the loss against the Bucs. They've been playing this way the entire year. Great football teams play like that the entire time. Hey, look, you talk about that word identity, Xander. Well, one of the things that you say about Baltimore wins and loses like Baltimore does. They either run it, they throw when it comes to percentage passes. That's how they win and lose games. They're not going to deviate off of anything else. That's who they are. That's who the guys they have in the room. That's the coaching they have in the building. That's when people in the media people start using that word identity. Here's their identity. No, that's the people and the coaches that they have. So for the last 12 quarters, remember what I told you guys, and I told you this too, Xander, on Friday. The last 2 weeks, John and I were like, hey, but a game like this starts to validate those last 8 quarters because you're seeing the same characteristics being played out in this game against Cincinnati, and the opponent's not starting to matter. The opponent from within is them. Right. And when you start seeing them execute, like John said, no turnovers, you're seeing closing out games. What you're doing is you got a knockout puncher to close your games out now that you didn't have in Miles Sanders and in DeAndre Swift. That's the difference in the running backs. He's explosive, like John says, and he's a knockout puncher, which means you can close games out and work that clock like they have. They have a lot of things here. But again, 12 quarters of football, I'm not putting a flag up on anything right now until I see this football team get into November. When I see them in November, you'll know if you have a championship team or not.
No doubt about it. No October Super Bowls from Big Sills. John, we're going to let
here's your October Super Bowl trophy here. You can take it home with you here.
I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get from
I know you will.
John, let me get your final thoughts here on this game. I mean, we're going to break it down a lot more tomorrow on Birds 365. So make sure everybody tunes in tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. We'll have Johnny Mack tomorrow morning, and we will break down this game. Eagles are 5-2 on the year. But, John, just your final thoughts on this game today. I thought it was a complete performance by this football team, but without clouding the question. Sorry about that. Your final thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, I mean, when I think it was Jake's 49-yard field goal, and then it was 27-17, and the Bengals had the ball, and you said, all right, we'll see Joe Burrow, still plenty of time, 13 and a half minutes to go. He starts out, little 4-yard pass, then he gains 12, and you say, all right, here comes Cincinnati. They're going to make a run. Then that was the deep shot to Jamar Chase that was intercepted by CJ off a great play by Isaiah Rodgers. And then you said, wow, all right, they're in deep trouble, but what can they do defensively? And they felt helpless. And that's when they rolled out Ben Van Sumeren as the fullback. And you might have noticed
that play. John, I like that play.
You might have noticed it because they have to report him as eligible. 57's eligible.
I like him in there.
And then Barkley, big lead block. Barkley goes for 11 yards. Next play, big lead block by Ben. Barkley goes for 5 yards. Then -2 yards. They took Ben off the field. I'm not saying Ben. I like Ben, but that's not just the reason. And then it was Jalen Hurts slant to Devontae Smith. And that was the difference in the game. Jalen Hurts trusting himself, because he trusts the receiver. He trusts AJ and Devontae. Throw the damn ball. They couldn't deal with those two guys. Could not deal with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Just trust them. And when he does that, good things happen.
No doubt about it. Today was a good result after he did that. Johnny Mac, man, great stuff on the show today. We appreciate you doing it.
Elite today, John.
What's that? What's that, Cells?
John, he's elite today.
He is elite. He is elite today.
He is elite today.
And as Xander pointed out, 3 consecutive weeks, I think he's generated 9 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Excellent.
And they're 3-0.
Yep.
3 straight. Johnny Mac, thanks for checking in today, my man. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning on Birds 365. Looking forward to it, Johnny Mac. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There's Johnny Mac joining us on the JAKIB postgame show. It's now me and Big Sills left in the Thunderdome. We're going to get to a break. We're going to get to our actually, we don't need to take a break right this second. I'm going to get to some super chats. But Big Sills, you were a little combative with me today, Big Sills. You're pushing back on me today, Big Sills.
No, because once again, like with Seth and all of you crazy guys a year ago falling over yourselves, I want to see a championship performance each and every single week. I'm not talking about winning.